Hello and welcome to Just Meg Elise, a podcast about healing, remembering who you are, and learning to dive into deeper alignment. I'm Meg, and each week I'll be sharing some soul work, some self-reflections, and inner shifts that have supported me, in hopes that it will support you too. So for today's episode, the first episode of this new podcast, I just wanted to reflect back on my journey, and especially the past 2 years. So first of all, this is not my first podcast. I've had 2 podcasts before this. This is not my first rodeo. Before I had a podcast called Infinite Wanderer, and I loved that podcast, but the title unfortunately led people to believe that it was about traveling. And I do love to travel, but it wasn't about traveling. It was more about spirituality and consciousness and stuff like that. And then my most recent podcast was called Soul Talk Radio. I also loved that podcast. But again, the title led people to believe, because it was talk radio, that it would be more of a talk radio format, like people calling in live, me talking to them, that sort of thing. But that's not what it was. It was just me speaking to the camera or having a guest on, that sort of thing. So once again, I'm restarting a podcast, and I really struggled with what to name it. I thought about naming it That's Soul Work because I've been doing so much healing lately and I want to share all of those things with you guys. But ultimately, I just thought, just use your name. Just use something very simple like your name. And so I just thought of Just Meg Elise, and that's it. I chose Just Meg Elise because it felt like the clearest reflection of where I am right now. Allowing myself to just show up with calm clarity and not feeling like I have to prove myself all the time. I want this to be a space for full expression and not performance. I am also trying my very best to rid myself of my perfectionist tendencies. I am very much a perfectionist. Typically, when we're brought up with parents who maybe are sometimes a little bit authoritarian, we can take on perfectionist tendencies. And I definitely have those as well, and it stops me from creating sometimes. So I finally had to tell myself, Megan, I don't care if it's 60%, still put it out into the world, because your 60%, somebody else is going to look at that and think it's 100%. Like, we tend to be our own worst critic, and we're so hard on ourselves when we don't need to be. I know that we're afraid of being judged by other people, and absolutely that's going to happen, but half the time the judgment isn't even about you. It's something that's going on internally with them that they're projecting outward. So really, we need not fear judgment as much as we do. So I just wanted to say that first and foremost. As far as what we'll be talking about, I want to talk about nervous system regulation, healing, spirituality, psychology, identity, and intuition. I'm a very intuitive person. And I didn't know if I wanted to touch on this, but here we go. So I've been meditating a lot lately. I am a meditation instructor. I've been a meditation instructor on the Insight Timer app since 2019. But lately, when I meditate, I sometimes get like little intuitive hits, and I don't even know what they're about yet. Like, I'll get a vision of something or a word or a phrase, and they're usually always positive. So it's nothing to be fearful of, but it's just interesting. The deeper that I dive into my spiritual practices, the more my intuition is coming to the forefront. And it's really cool and just new, I'm excited about starting to share some of those things with you guys as well. So for the most part, I think this podcast is going to be me speaking to the camera, but also possibly the occasional guided practice or a meditation as well. I'm a hypnotherapist, so I thought about doing like NLP sessions where you're not going under for hypnotherapy, but it's more like a guided meditation for healing, which I think is really cool. And also I want to have some future guests on the podcast. So I'm excited for all of it, and I'm so excited to be back on the air with you guys. I'm really looking forward to this next chapter, and I'm really glad that you're along for the ride. But one thing that I really wanted to talk about was, over the past year and a half, I experienced extreme burnout. That's why I stopped doing my last podcast, Soul Talk Radio, and it's also why I took a break from my business and a whole bunch of other things. And for a long time, I really beat myself up about that. I beat myself up that I needed a break. But during that time, I really sought out deep therapy, and I found out that I am neurodivergent. I have ADHD. And so finding that out now makes so much more sense why I experienced burnout to the extreme that I did. I'll tell you what happened. So about a year and a half ago, I was working a full-time job. I also had a side hustle. I also had my business. I also had the podcast, social media, all of these things. And I was working 10 to 12 hours a day trying to keep up with everything. And I got to a point where it's like my body couldn't take it all. And I found myself crying all day, every day for 4 days in a row. And finally I told myself, okay, something's wrong. Like something's going on. We need to fix this. So I said to myself, well, you have to give up something. Like, I can't give up my job because that's what was bringing me in money at the time. And I was working in legal and I freaking hated that job. And we'll talk about that in a second. But I realized that I had to give up the things that weren't necessarily bringing me in any money because I needed to keep the things that were still paying my bills, right? And so I ended up giving up the podcast and teaching meditation and doing the social media videos, because another thing was those social media videos that I create, and I love creating, but it took me up to 10 hours a week just to think of the topics, film them, edit them, all of those things. And so I had to give up something in order to allow my body to rest, and it just happened to be the things that weren't bringing me in any money. And that makes me really sad because those things brought me the most joy. And unfortunately, I almost said I don't want to cry, but we're going to talk about that crying and emotions are absolutely okay. So if I cry, it's okay. But unfortunately, in our society, we tend to sometimes have to put our dreams on hold just to be able to pay our bills, and that makes me really fucking sad. I wish we lived in a society that allowed for us to, work and make a living, but also have enough time and energy to also pursue our dreams. Nobody is going to understand what I'm about to say unless they've actually worked in the legal profession, but it is so stressful. It's not only the work and like the extreme deadlines, it's the people, it's the environment. Every single day when I would log into work, I felt like I had to armor up. And like, you can be nice, but not too nice, or else it'll be used against you, mostly by opposing counsel. But honestly, everybody in that field develops that armor, and they're not nice, and it's so draining. Like, the work is already stressful enough, and then you have to come into work and deal with these people who are not kind. And it was just hard, and it weighed on me for years. I've worked in legal since I was 16 years old. I first started out as a runner, and then I worked my way up, and it was a long time coming. And about a month ago, I had a realization where I was like, I cannot keep doing this. I cannot keep working at this job. Yeah, it pays good money, but I can't keep doing this to my body. And so I quit. And I'm so thankful that I did. Oh my gosh, it's been such a relief. And now I have a grant writing job that I really love, and it brings me so much fulfillment. I really love working for that company. And also I'm pursuing my business. Like, now I have time to pursue my business. Whereas before, all of my energy was taken up by that damn job. Like, we really do have only a finite amount of energy each day. And it was taken up by such a stressful environment and such a stressful job. I found myself getting off work every day, and I would just go sit on the couch, and I would just be exhausted, mentally and physically exhausted. And again, I feel like if somebody hasn't worked in an environment like that, they're truly not going to understand. I didn't belong there. I didn't belong there for a long time. The deeper I dove into my own healing, like, the more I realized this is not the environment for me. I was good at my job. I think that's why I stayed for so long. But just because you're good at something doesn't mean it's what you're supposed to be doing with your life. And it can be a hard pill to swallow, But it was time. It was definitely time. And honestly, I probably should have left that job a year and a half ago when I experienced that burnout, but I didn't have another job lined up. And you know how crazy the job market is right now. It was hard. I didn't have an exit plan, but I'm very, very thankful that I made that decision, because I do see really wonderful things on the horizon for me, and I'm so excited to share them with you. I'm excited to start this podcast again. I'm just excited to be podcasting again in general, because it really does bring me so much joy to connect with you guys, to connect with my listeners, to share my story, to share any healing modalities that I've learned that maybe can help you as well, just everything. And the other thing is, I really struggle with like keeping a niche. And because I like so many things, and I like to talk about so many things, and I didn't want to be boxed in with a certain title that I wouldn't be able to talk about certain topics. I want to talk about anything and everything. I will say, for the most part, I think I'm going to focus on, nervous system regulation, healing, spirituality, psychology, intuition, that sort of stuff, because that stuff really interests me. But at the same time, if I want to talk about something that's going on in popular culture, I didn't want to be boxed in by my niche. So that's kind of another reason why I chose the title that I did. So in the next episode, I want to talk about burnout, how I experienced it, how I overcome it, how I'm still overcoming it. And I also want to talk about the difference between exhaustion, brain fog, just being tired, and actual burnout, and what that feels like in the body. So I feel like we're all truly returning to ourself in layers, and that's what I want to hold space for here. Not only am I still continuing to heal every single day, and by the way, I have started doing, I love that I can get up in the morning now and I don't feel rushed to start working. I have been doing my morning routine and I've been doing everything that I want to do within my morning routine, and it's been freaking lovely. I get up, I take my dog for a walk, then I meditate, then I write in my gratitude journal. Sometimes I'll do a card pull for myself, like an oracle card pull. Then I do all my physical therapy exercises. Then I make myself a really nourishing breakfast. Then I come into my office and I walk on my walking pad for an hour while I'm working. It's been so nice. I also have been listening to this affirmation mix that I made for myself to help me overcome negative beliefs, limiting beliefs, that sort of thing. I did this exercise where I helped to uncover what a lot of my limiting beliefs were and a lot of my negative beliefs. And then I created an affirmation for each one of those as the opposite of what that limiting belief or negative belief was. And then I recorded that for myself in my own voice. And every morning I've been listening to that and then repeating back those affirmations. And I cannot tell you, I already see the difference. Where I used to have a negative thought, normally now it's a positive thought. I also wrote a book. It's called Don't You Dare. The original title, by the way, had a cuss word in it, but I had to create a PG version in order to market it on Facebook because I didn't like the cuss word. In my book, I talk about this as what I call new paths through the forest. We're creating new neural networks every single time we repeat a positive affirmation. So in our minds, we're so used to going down those negative pathways, but you can create new neural pathways and you can create new thought patterns over time, especially using affirmations. I love affirmations for that purpose. And so in order to share that with you guys a little more fully, I'm actually creating an affirmations reset course, which I'm really excited to share with you. So that'll be coming soon. Make sure to stay tuned. If you're into learning about the ego mind and diving into shadow work, be sure to pick up a copy. I really think it's an excellent tool, especially for diving into shadow work, which is another topic I'm definitely going to cover on this podcast because I love talking about shadow work. Another thing that I've been doing in the morning that I wanted to share with you, in case it's helpful, is I've been listening to this motivational mix that I made for myself. It's all songs that I find motivational. There's this guy called Abel Hart. I really love all of his songs. Hold on, I'll tell you all the titles of them that are in my motivation mix. So the songs that I really love of him are Magnet, Lucky, Let the Money In, and then a money song. And also I really find the song by Miley Cyrus, Climb, I think it's called. I find that song motivational, so that's in here. But you know what I mean? I listen to all of these things in the morning that I've saved to my phone, different songs, or maybe it was somebody talking that I found really motivational. Anytime that I find something like that, I'll save it to my phone and I save it to this folder, and I've been listening to it in the morning. So that's been really helpful as well, and just changing my mindset, I think that motivation is best served daily. I wasn't doing that before, not because I didn't want to, because I didn't have the energy or the time. So I'm really excited for what this next chapter will hold, and I'm so glad that you guys are here. Thank you so much for joining me today. As a few little announcements, I also have my Most Loved Meditation Bundle available for purchase. These are my highly rated meditations over the years. I also offer coaching and hypnotherapy sessions. If you're interested in a session with me, visit my website, meganshirey.com, meganshirey.com. I am also a meditation instructor on the Insight Timer app. I teach there every Sunday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time if you'd like to join me there. And if you enjoy these episodes, please like, share, comment, and subscribe. And please be sure to leave us a review. It helps us to expand this community. May you be happy. May you be well. May you be joyous and at ease. Thank you so much for joining me. And until next time.